out of most of the capital district in March, but the paramilitaries had held on to 2 positions in Omdurman, which is across the Nile from Khartoum. On Monday, the army launched an offensive to recapture these areas and now says it has done so. The center of the conflict is shifting to the RSF stronghold of Darfur in the west and to the southern Kordofan region. The army is battling to retake key cities in several states of Kordofan. That would provide a strategic access route to the embattled Darfur city of El Fasher.
The BBC's Barbara Plett-Usher. Officials say a suicide car bomber struck a school bus in southwestern Pakistan, killing 5 people, including 3 children, and wounding 38 others. The attack occurred in Kozdar. No group immediately claimed responsibility. Breaking news and analysis at townhall.com. Mexico's Navy chief says the pilot manning its training ship that crashed into the Brooklyn Bridge on Saturday night was under the control of New York authorities. The ship had 277 people on board when it collided with a bridge spanning the East River, resulting in 2 deaths. One of racing's most iconic events is officially sold out.
The Indianapolis 500 is sold out for the first time in nearly a decade. That means about 350,000 fans, or about 1 for every 1,000 people living in the U.S., will be at the historic racetrack for the 109th running of the greatest spectacle in racing on Sunday. It also means the local TV blackout that has been in place since 1951 has been lifted, so fans living in central Indiana will be able to watch the race live. The last sellout was in 2016 for the 100th running. General admission infield tickets are still available. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
More on these stories at townhall.com. I'm John Scott.
The following is an American Matters Media Encore presentation. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent those of the station, its advertisers, or management, but we think they should. And that's the opinion of American Matters Media.
Vote for me and I'll set you free.
Freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose. Come together right now over me.
All right, folks, you certainly know what that theme song means by now. That's right. It's time for another episode of American Matters. I'm your host, Leo Zacky, with Eddie Floyd and Joshua Matriciana back with us again. Love having Josh on. He's great. He's so much fun. But, folks, I mean, we got a wild show today for you, from cloning your dead dog, which I'd love to be able to do, but I think it's a little late for that, but to selling your DNA on the open market. I don't recommend you doing that. Well, we got a few things to talk about, so it's gonna be interesting. Before we jump into everything, I just want to give a big shout out, hello, welcome, and thank you to everybody out there tuning in on 93.7 KPGF as well as AM 1060, and all the folks out there tuned in on Radio for America or the Answer Network or the Salem Network or the Kevin Jackson Network and AUN Television. And a big thank you to all the folks on those networks that help push this broadcast out to all of you listeners out there. Don't forget, you can get involved in today's show by going to American Matters Media's Facebook page or LinkedIn page. Or you could just go to YouTube or Rumble and go to Zacky Radio and check it out there. Like, comment, subscribe, follow, and most importantly, share this with everyone you know. So we want to definitely get that out there. And, well, where do we go from here, Josh?
Well, we start out in China, where grieving pet owners are bringing their animals back from the dead for a price, of course. Then we go a little bit deeper. Weaponized DNA, genetic data for sale, 23andMe going bankrupt, and your code going up for grabs.
Ooh, I don't like that. Well, geez, just go ahead.
Just when you thought it couldn't get more corrupt, though, we expose how Joe Biden hid a cancer diagnosis from the American people while demanding your health data in return. This episode isn't just about biotech. It's about power, deception, and who gets to own the truth.
All right. Well, let's get into it. Well, first we head to Beijing, where grief and science collide. Imagine holding your pet again, same eyes, same bark, after they've passed. China's booming pet cloning industry is making that fantasy real, but at what cost? So, this is pretty wild here. Imagine this: your dog, the one who was there when you graduated college or when you moved cities, and cried into your pillow. That's gone. House is quiet. Be quiet. It's sad, I mean, look, I lost my dog last year, man.
Yeah, me too.
It's rough. I wish
Yeah,
I knew
very
about
rough.
this.
Barbara Streisand did it, Leo. Barbara Streisand did it.
It's crazy. So that's true. But look, a few months later, you're holding her again, same eyes, same fur, same little bark, just not quite the same, Welcome to the world of pet cloning. So we're going to talk about how China's become the global epicenter for this sci-fi fantasy and now booming industry. And, it's giving pet owners to turn to biotech for bringing their furry friends back to life. So, tell us how it works, Josh.
Well, it starts off with a tissue sample. It's taken from your original pet. Weird thing to say, the original pet. Sometimes even after the death, if the cells are preserved in time. And scientists basically extract the DNA, insert it into a donor egg, and implant the embryo into a surrogate animal. I mean, it's a genetically identical twin. It's born. It's not resurrected, but it's from a biological standpoint, a complete identical replica.
Wow. Leading this science meets a sentiment market it's kind of sanguine, It's called, the company is, what's it called? It's how do you say that?
I think it's called Synogene.
Synogene. Huh. Wow. Well, it's based there in Beijing, and their slogan is "Preserving Love with Science." But this ain't cheap, so it's like anywhere from $18,000 to $36,000. And despite this, the demand is surging, and it's not just among the ultra wealthy. Pretty crazy. So the question is, why is this happening in China? There's an emotional shift there apparently happening with the pets that have transformed from guard dogs and mousers to cherished companions. I mean, that's what's going on nowadays. They used to have a service, and now they've become pets, and people are getting really attached to them. So yeah, there's a pet boom going on right now in China. And they're saying that by 2030, there could be twice as many pets as toddlers in the country. Think about that.
Well, when you're only allowed one kid, but you're allowed as many pets as you want, I can see that happening.
And it'll help supplement the food supply over there, right? They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs. Sorry, I had to throw that in there. But yeah, well, the pet industry over there is currently worth about $32 billion and expected to increase more in the coming future. So one pet industry expert, Liu Xiao.
Xiao Shi?
Yeah, how you say that?
I'm not sure.
Xiao. XIAO XIA. Xiaojia, I guess. I'm trying here. I'm not a Chinese expert. Noted that people want an emotional interaction and companionship, and pets are family, and families don't let go easily, and that's true. It's very, very true. So, I mean, this is pretty wild to see going on. So, I don't know. Where do you guys stand on all this? Would you spend a small fortune to clone, a pet you loved? I know I might. Or do you believe some goodbyes should stay final? So,
I don't know. $18,000 for a rebrand of your pet seems a little steep for me. It's the price of a car.
If you can swing it.
If you can swing it.
I'm just saying. Well, anyways, coming up, imagine a weapon built not for a city, but for your body. Not your community, just you. The technology to target DNA exists, and you and your little spit kit might just have helped make it possible. So we're going to talk about that when we get back from our first break here on America Matters. I'm Leo Zacky with Eddie Floyd, Shannon Lawson, and joining us is Joshua Matriciana. We'll be right back.
At A Proper Fit Footwear in the Reno Town Mall, we've been accomplishing happy feet for over 30 years.
We offer a various range of shoe styles and sizes for both men and women. From all-season shoes and orthotics to work boots and safety shoes, our professional and reliable staff possesses the knowledge to help you find the proper shoes to fit your needs. Hard to fit? Hard to find?
A Proper Fit Footwear is here to give our customers happy feet. We make people aware of potential foot problems as we're sizing their feet, suggesting the right arch support, and guiding them to the proper shoes for their needs.
Stop by A Proper Fit Footwear at 4001 South Virginia Street in the Reno Town Mall today, and allow the owner Mike Jones and our fabulous staff to find the perfect pair of shoes tailored to your specific needs.
A Proper Fit Footwear in the Reno Town Mall, the home of happy feet, where comfort and your feet meet.
Barbecue, the Butcher's Kitchen, would like to thank every customer for your loyalty and continued support through these challenging times. Call for takeout and delivery of rib tips, brisket, ahi, tuna, roasted veggies, and much more. Barbecue's open from 11 to 7, Monday through Saturday, and delivers hot food safe and healthy. Call 499-5855 for details. 499-5855 Barbecue, as featured on diners, drive-ins, and dives. Get real. Get into Barbecue Reno.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
At age 30, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, you can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
To join the conversation, call 844-790-TALK. That's 844-790-8255. Now back to the show.
All right, folks, we are back with America Matters. I'm Leo Zacky with Eddie Floyd and Shannon Lawson, and we got Josh Matriciana here with us today. And we were just talking about cloning dogs, but now let's talk about what's going on with you and weaponizing DNA. So imagine this. You know, I'm sure you guys have seen, you know, the newer 007s, right? You know, Spectre, they're having their like party. I don't remember, you know, they're in some, you know, European city or something like that. And they're having a party and this like bioweapon is released and it just starts killing specific people in the event, right? Well, that's what is being now apparently formulated. They can kind of do this stuff. A weapon designed just for you. You know, not your neighborhood, not your country, just you based on your DNA. Or they can just release it into a, you know, you can be in a public place and just release it amongst everybody, but it won't impact anybody. It'll just kill you. So that's the reality national security insiders are now confirming, okay? And it's one more reason why surrendering your genetic data to corporations or governments isn't just careless, it's dangerous. And this is something I've been warning people about since the inception of, oh, don't you want to know what your background is? Wouldn't that be cool? You know? Stupid. I was like, no. The fine print clearly says that they own your genetic code. Well, now it's being weaponized. So we got a little bit of a video here for you. We're going to play. So let's roll the tape.
There are now weapons under development and developed that are designed to target specific people. Right, that's what this is, where you can actually take someone's DNA, take their medical profile, and you can target a biological weapon that will kill that person or take them off the battlefield or make them inoperable. So you can't have a discussion about this without talking about privacy and commercial data. in the protection of commercial data, because expectations of privacy have degraded over the last 20 years. Young folks actually have very little expectation of privacy. That's what the polling and the data show. And people will very rapidly spit into a cup and send it into 23andMe and get really interesting data about their background. And guess what? Their DNA is now owned by a private company and can be sold off with very little intellectual property protection or privacy protection. And we don't have legal and regulatory regimes to deal with that. So we have to have an open and public discussion, and this is going to have to be a political discussion about what does the protection of healthcare information, DNA information, and your data look like, because that data is actually going to be procured and collected by our adversaries for the development of these systems.
Wow.
Pretty wild, huh?
Really wild. You got a text from Bubba in Atlanta, Georgia, and he says that I thought Jurassic Park was just a bad movie.
Thanks, Bubba. Yeah, well, playing with God, and it's getting crazy here. People are trying to become their own gods. So you now have these weapons that are under development that can target individuals based on their unique genetic structure. I mean, precision biological attacks could be happening here. And it doesn't have to be a general virus. It's just targeted biowarfare now. I mean, this is really scary science fiction, science fact.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
There was a movie in the 90s, Leo, called Runaway with Gene Simmons and Tom Selleck. And they had a bullet developed for your DNA. And that bullet would follow you around corners, anywhere you went, and then hit you and kill you. I think that's what they're working on.
Wow. What's interesting about this this video clip is government representative was talking about this. This was 3 years ago that he was in a public forum talking about this years ago, and this is not something that is so brand new. This is not something that's so cutting edge. The thing is, after 3 years of development, I mean, how much farther has it gone? When we see elected representatives, waving the flag, saying, "Hey, we need to take care of this." Can you imagine how much farther it has come, today?
Oh my God, that's the scary thing to think about. This technology clearly it's here. Has it been deployed? I mean, you've heard about how apparently Putin takes out his adversaries using Novichok, right? Well, who needs Novichok when you can, custom tailor a kill virus for somebody like that?
It's nuts, man. I mean, and then you compile that with the other technologies that we've talked about on the show. Like we talked about having a drone swarms the size of insects that can, target you based on exactly what Shanimal was saying, based on your DNA. It's like a homing missile, but the thing is so small, it's the size of a bee.
Yeah, it can follow you and take you out just like that. I mean, this is getting pretty scary future here with the weapons. I mean, stuff that's designed in a lab to take you out that can be set into like a small little flying drone that can be operated from the other side of the world. We're all vulnerable. So we've entered a new Cold War, but it's not nukes and tanks. It's CRISPR, it's genome maps, it's, the mail-in test kits, People aren't paying attention and they just willingly give up their data. I mean, look, this tech comes from breakthroughs in synthetic, biology and CRISPR gene editing and AI-powered molecular design, and it's accelerating crazy fast.
And quantum computers. Tony Garcia Martin says the Matrix is real.
Yeah, the Matrix is real.
Right.
Take the red pill, folks.
Yeah.
Not the black pill. And if you need a white pill, that's okay. But yeah, I mean, this DNA data trap is, just got all these people, especially here in America. I mean, around the world, but definitely a lot of folks in America have been, spit in that tube and send it into 23andMe. But I don't know about you guys, but I've seen some funny videos where a guy like swabs his like different animals and sends it in, and they get like all sorts of like ridiculous like results. It's pretty funny. Like he did it with a lizard. He's done it with a horse. He's done it with a dog. So, it just makes you wonder: are those 23andMe things like actually accurate?
It's interesting that you bring that up because the only way for it actually to work is that you have to have a massive sample base. So you only get the more people that submit their DNA, the more accurate the results become. If you have people who have never they talked about this, like certain Native American tribes, no one in that tribe had ever submitted their DNA into it. So you just have these big empty spaces where they don't know exactly what's in there. But once you start going in there and you feed your data into all of these different DNA depositories, that's when they can actually get more accurate. But they kind of fake it till they make it. If what you're saying, I remember watching some videos like that too. And yeah, they're going to BS you until they can dupe everybody. And then they start to have more, more accurate data. But it's insidious, if you think about it, what they're actually can be used for.
And now they're taking that data and that information and they're turning around and they're selling it. And anybody can kind of, buy it. Foreign governments can buy, DNA from these data brokers and then do whatever they want with it. There's a lot of things that can happen. I mean, it's just, where are the federal guidelines? Where are the protections? They're not there.
Yeah.
Because this is just something that the world is advancing so fast that we can hardly keep pace with it.
That's kind of the scary thing. Like, we keep talking about these things that, it's not that they're so cutting edge, because like we said, this has been developed for years, decades even. I mean, remember when Dolly, I think, was the sheep that they cloned back in, was it the early 90s? Yeah. They've been cloning animals since, probably since a lot of people listening to this were even born. And now it's just gone so far beyond just cloning. We talk about cloning the pets now. It's, it's a thing you can do. Anyone can do it now for enough money. But it gets even scarier when we start talking about, the potential use cases for DNA. I mean, you could, theoretically, you could take DNA that would target entire people groups. And then you say, hey, let's just wipe them out. A lot more efficient that way than, gas chambers, I guess.
Yeah, or nukes.
Yeah. I mean, if you're just trying to if you're trying to target a certain people group, this is how they're going to do it. That's what makes this so scary, is because you can say, hey, anybody with a big nose or brown eyes or whatever, who have the predisposition even to, having, a genetic disease, well, you can target them without really even the population knowing. I mean, we could take this to the science fiction side of it. I mean, our imaginations are really the only thing that's holding back what's possible. But if you were to spray something, let's say in the air, let an aerosol go out that targets just a specific DNA type of strand, say, oh, well, these people are predisposed to getting, Down syndrome. Why don't we just make all the women who have the kids who are going to have this just miscarriage? I mean, there's a lot of really scary things that, this is just kind of paving the way for.
Right.
They already did it with COVID. It targeted the elderly and the obese. So it's already been done.
Wow. Well, we've essentially handed the digital crown jewels of our biology to these tech companies. And, some of them are backed by big pharma giants. So are we surprised that they've commercialized it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, would you give your house keys to a stranger? Right? But people are just like, oh, yeah, here, take my genetic keys, go give it over to the Silicon Valley crew. And, why? So ridiculous for a T-shirt discount and, a map of their great grandparents. Like, whoop-de-doo. What'd you really get out of it? Well, you lost the rights to your genetic code. So,
right.
It's pretty nuts. So look, we're going to come back from our bottom of the hour break. We're going to talk a little bit more about how they're selling it, how it's become a commodity. So I'm Leo Zacky with Eddie Floyd, Shannon Lawson, and Joshua Matriciana. We'll be right back.
Have you been injured in an accident? Trust Adriana Guzman-Freilich at AGF Law, your local personal injury law firm in Reno. At AGF Law, we pride ourselves on being honest, hardworking, and ethical. Let's meet in person to understand your case and fight for your rights. Located near South Virginia and Plum, we're always ready to help. Don't navigate the aftermath of an accident alone. Call Adriana at 775-453-9595 or visit adrianalegal.com. Your recovery is our priority, and we're committed to getting you the justice you deserve.
I used to love going for long walks, but my back just doesn't cooperate like it used to.
Same here. But ever since I started a routine with Active Life Integrated Health on Moana Lane, I feel more flexible and in control. You should check them out.
This is Dr. Tom Waldorf. Let's make it happen so you can feel better naturally. To schedule the beginning of your transformation, call 775-842-0065 or visit activelifereno.com online.
At A Proper Fit Footwear in the Reno Town Mall, we've been accomplishing happy feet for over 30 years.
We offer a various range of shoe styles and sizes for both men and women. From all-season shoes and orthotics to work boots and safety shoes, our professional and reliable staff possesses the knowledge to help you find the proper shoes to fit your needs. Hard to fit? Hard to find?
A Proper Fit Footwear is here to give our customers happy feet. We make people aware of potential foot problems as we're sizing their feet, suggesting the right arch support, and guiding them to the proper shoes for their needs.
Stop by A Proper Fit Footwear at 4001 South Virginia Street in the Reno Town Mall today, and allow the owner Mike Jones and our fabulous staff to find the perfect pair of shoes tailored to your specific needs.
A Proper Fit Footwear in the Reno Town Mall, the home of happy feet, where comfort and your feet meet.
Want to expand your advertising dollar? Sponsor this or any America Matters program by calling 775-827-8900, extension 2. Now back to the show.
All right, folks, we are back with America Matters. I'm Leo Zacky with Eddie Floyd and Shannon Lawson. We got Joshua Matriciana with us today. And, weaponizing our DNA. And how are they getting it? Well, they're selling it, because you've given it away so carelessly to these companies with 23andMe or Ancestry or whatever one out there. And your DNA code is now a commodity. And wow. Foreign governments are buying it from data brokers, and there are real-world scenarios right now where a soldier's child's genome can be purchased legally. Wow. And then that data can be used to target that person or family with genetically guided pathogens. I mean, think about that. I mean, we've literally handed over the keys to our own destruction because a corporation offered us a little hit of dopamine there. You know, it's some little ancestral trivia, which may or may not be true. Who knows? It's just, it's wild to think about that. It really is. And, this isn't about one company. It's about the genetic data is now a marketplace with buyers ranging from big pharma to government intelligence agencies and foreign powers. Like, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen with that?
Wow.
I think the scariest thing here is that there's not really been any decisive or conclusive conversations about this. We're all recognize, hey, this is powerful. This in the wrong hands, this could be deadly to a lot of people. We're talking mass genocides are at stake, or the potential for that. Yet we don't have really any legislation to back it up. There's no guardrails. Yeah, well, speaking of these potential genocides, I mean, think about how great this is for the globalist agenda, with the depopulation program that they have in mind. Now they don't have to totally devastate the entire planet. They could just specifically take out certain population groups without destroying any infrastructure.
Scott from Salt Lake City asked Leo and Joshua, he said, when I grew up, I had never heard of killer bees before, but on Newsmax this morning, 3 horses were killed by a swarm of killer bees. Could this have anything to do with it in your mind?
I don't know about that. I mean,
it's definitely a template for what could be happening. Like, think about killer bees that are, that are robots that are targeted for, people who didn't get a shot. I mean, you could release them in swarms. We've been talking about that in the past.
Right.
But yeah, I don't think that's directly related to any of this.
But look, we've got genetic data. We've got 23andMe. We've got bankruptcy. We've got what a lot of people are considering the DNA gold rush. What happens when your DNA becomes a debt collateral?
That's a really good question. Well, it's almost like your chattel in a way, right?
Yeah.
It's not a Black Mirror episode.
It's not? This is real. This is real life.
This is real life. This is what's happening now. I mean, if you guys remember, we talked about the biotech, Darling. It was 23andMe. It once sold the future of personalized medicine, but they just filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy.
Wow. Well, it's reconstruction, but I wonder how they'll pivot. Oh wait, they're going to just sell our data. Right? I mean, what else could it possibly be, right?
Yeah.
What else could it be? So, think about it. We've learned that your DNA can be turned to a bioweapon, and now we're learning it can also be auctioned off like a used car. I mean, talk about dystopian. I mean, you got it right here. Because now, here in California, your most personal data may be on the bankruptcy table. Mm-hmm. Because, like you said, it's debt collateral. So everyone's and everything is on the table, including you. It's pretty crazy to think about.
Yep.
Let's start with the basics here. I mean, like Rob Bonta, the Attorney General, is telling people to delete their 23andMe data immediately because this company is entering a bankruptcy and its assets are up for grabs. Think about it. 23andMe has over 15 million data records linked to medical, ancestral, and behavioral information. Even though the data has, sounds like, oh, who really wants that? Well, people do want that because nowadays data is the currency. Data is the digital currency. So these have real monetary values to them. Pharmaceutical companies want it so they can better make drugs that are specified to certain types of people or nefarious, evil things. Insurers want it so they know who's worth covering and who they should charge more because who's more susceptible to diseases. Defense contractors, obviously, and of course, foreign entities. But there's no legal framework that's preventing the sale.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Like if Ford were to go under, right? You lose your dealership. But if 23andMe goes under, you lose control of your genome.
Wow.
That's pretty wild to think about.
They filed Chapter 11, Josh, I believe, Joshua. And if they filed Chapter 11, I wonder if that DNA could be used as collateral to get out of bankruptcy. What do you say?
That's probably what they'll do with it. I mean, they're a company. They don't want to lose all their money and lose all their investment. So, but there's some national security red flags here, It's not just privacy violations. I mean,
right.
Your DNA reveals more than your ancestry. It reveals your predisposition to disease and biological vulnerabilities and even mental health markers. And so people can exploit this stuff. You don't need spies. You don't need satellites. You just need access. Apparently, you just need access to a bankruptcy court in California and a lawyer with a pen. And you can get all that information, no problem.
Wow.
Man.
But, that's the thing. People willingly signed up for this, Josh.
Well, yeah. I mean, they got tricked, right?
Apparently. They just signed up, uploaded their DNA to 23andMe with a smile, spit in a tube, and, for your find out your heritage, unlock your health secrets. Well, I don't think that's really what was going on. I mean, that was a nice facade. Always is, right?
That was the hook that they caught us on.
That's it.
Every time. You just became part of the largest unregulated genetic database in human history. Congratulations. You played yourself. So there were some terms of service, buried in legalese, which, I'm sure everybody who did it read very carefully. You didn't. It's like the Apple's terms and conditions update. Nobody read.
Who reads the 150 pages of that? Yeah, and I remember that when we had discussions of this when it was first coming out. It was like maybe 10 years ago, right? And we were like, oh well, make sure that you use this one, but not this one because this one explicitly says they own your data, or this one says that it's open. And here's once it goes into bankruptcy court, it doesn't matter what you signed. It's all being hashed out, and you're no longer even protected by whatever whatever legalese that they put in there. Now it's all to the wind. It's in bankruptcy court,
and it's all available for purchase.
Yep.
How wonderful, But so where are our digital rights? Where's if this ain't the line in the sand, what is? If your body's blueprint can be sold like stock in a failed company, then are you really a citizen? I don't think so. I think you're more of an asset.
Chattel.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, Eddie, you bred animals, I'm sure. Like, think about it. It's the same kind of thing, right?
Exactly. Same thing.
Auction it off DNA, bringing in a stud or a bull to, give you the best genetics, right?
Right. I've walked through the mall carrying a big frozen thing of pig sperm one time. I just wish I hadn't wrote that on the bag.
I did that with horses. It cost $5,000 to get a stud, premium stud for the mare.
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
And it didn't work the first time, so we spent another $5,000.
Yeah,
it cost $10,000.
Jeez,
wow. That's some expensive goo.
Do you still ride that horse?
Joking 40. You know what happened, Eddie? That foal breached and died.
Oh God!
No.
Yes, it did. It was so sad, and it took me months to find the sack full of pus in this mare. She went down like 5 times. They even took her to USC or
Davis.
Yeah, Davis. They took her there. They couldn't find it. Finally, I brought this old veterinarian in. We brought a portable X-ray machine down there. I crawled underneath the horse, X-rayed it. We finally found that bag and popped the pus and saved the mare.
Wow!
After $10,000, plus another $5,000 at the vet when it breached.
Well, I'm going to stick with the pigs and the goats because I can't afford $5,000 for the horses.
Wow. Well, but that just goes to show you there's value in this stuff, and depending on who you might be, if you're a somebody out there, even if you're not, your data, your DNA, that's got some dollar valuations there to it, but right now, I mean, look, I'm not trying to be anti-technology. I'm talking about pro-sovereignty here. You got to be able to control your genetic information because otherwise somebody else will, like you guys buying all that animal excretion.
Yeah.
But you got to be paying attention, folks, because this is what's going on. They're going to sell your very sacred DNA, your very personal, like it's the most personal of personal property.
Yeah, it's kind of scary to think of China sending a swarm of killer bees to America,
Yeah, but I mean, look, the question here is like, if your DNA is for sale, then what isn't for sale, right? So, look, we've spent this episode exposing how your DNA is being tracked and sold and turned into a weaponized commodity. But what if I told you the people in charge of the system, the ones demanding your medical data, aren't even honest about their own? So coming up next when we get back from this break, we're going to talk about Biden's big secret. his cancer diagnosis and the cover-up and the growing divide between their health privacy and yours.
Wow.
Leo Zacky with Eddie Floyd, Shannon Lawson, and Josh Patriciana. We'll be right back.
At A Proper Fit Footwear in the Reno Town Mall, we've been accomplishing happy feet for over 30 years.
We offer a various range of shoe styles and sizes for both men and women. From all-season shoes and orthotics to work boots and safety shoes, our professional and reliable staff possesses the knowledge to help you find the proper shoes to fit your needs. Hard to fit? Hard to find?
A Proper Fit Footwear is here to give our customers happy feet. We make people aware of potential foot problems as we're sizing their feet, suggesting the right arch support, and guiding them to the proper shoes for their needs.
Stop by A Proper Fit Footwear at 4001 South Virginia Street in the Reno Town Mall today, and allow the owner Mike Jones and our fabulous staff to find the perfect pair of shoes tailored to your specific needs.
A Proper Fit Footwear in the Reno Town Mall, the home of happy feet, where comfort and your feet meet.
I used to love going for long walks, but my back just doesn't cooperate like it used to.
Same here. But ever since I started a routine with Active Life Integrated Health on Moana Lane, I feel more flexible and in control. You should check them out.
This is Dr. Tom Waldorf. Let's make it happen so you can feel better naturally. To schedule the beginning of your transformation, call 775-842-0065 or visit activelifereno.com online.
Can you define the 4 different parts of Medicare? Do you have Medicare prescription drug gap coverage? At Nevada Senior Advisors, we will walk through the different parts of Medicare, including Medicare Advantage, Medicare Supplement, Part D prescription drug plans, to help you determine which option is right for you. Visit nvsenioradvisors.com, call 775-674-2223 to set up an appointment. Nevada Senior Advisors is not affiliated with or endorsed by the Federal Medicare Program or any other government agency. Calling this number will direct you to a licensed sales agent.
Unable to listen to the whole show? A recording of today's program will be available later today. Visit americamatters.us and click on the podcast link. Now back to the show.
All right, folks, we are back with America Matters. We're rolling into the last segment here of the show. We got another 12 minutes with y'all, so we're going to make this one interesting because, well, if you haven't heard, apparently Joe Biden's got cancer. And it didn't just show up out of nowhere. It sounds like it's fairly advanced. So, you know, the guy who is totally capable and competent and perfect health, I guess they weren't telling the truth about that. They're lies, a lie we weren't supposed to know about, huh? So we've pulled back the curtain on the genetic gold rush, bioweapons, and the auctioning of your most personal data. But while our health data is being tracked and sold and scrutinized, well, Joe Biden, the arguably most powerful man in the world, or at least in America, has been hiding his. It's not about him having cancer. It's about the fact that they covered it up. And it's a very big reflection of what his entire time as the questionably elected president was. So he's got cancer. He definitely had it probably prior to him running for president. Maybe he contracted it while he was president. Who knows? But there was no press conference. There was no medical transparency. Just more silence from an administration that demanded your data while hiding their own. So a new bombshell book titled Original Sin has dropped. And the final piece of this puzzle, Biden couldn't remember, lines during scripted campaign events. The man could not speak, was what one source admitted. And that is not a flub. That's a fraud.
That bombshell book, a quote unquote bombshell book, Original Sin. Yeah, that's Jake Tapper's. He was in on it. And now this is his kind of mea culpa. He's trying to separate himself, saying, "Oh, we were duped too. Look at my tell-all book." Well, we can get into the personal stuff of Jake Tapper, but that guy, he was in on it. he was actively involved in the cover up too. And this book, yeah, sure, it's telling a lot of stuff now, but these were things that we should have been told a lot earlier. Too little, too late is my opinion on that.
Oh, for sure. So, think about it. If you didn't upload a Vax card, you're flagged. You don't share your health data, you're restricted. But when the president hides a cancer diagnosis and can't finish a scripted sentence, nothing. Crickets. Your medical privacy is stripped away in the name of public health because, you got to take these tests and get these injections for the most deadliest disease known to man that is so deadly you need a test to find out if you have it or not. But then Biden, who controls biodefense and policy and pandemic powers and nuclear codes, while he's clearly deteriorating, it's so hypocritical. So how is this not a scandal? How is this not criminal? They're tracking your heart rate with an Apple Watch, but the guy in the Oval Office can't get through a teleprompter without freezing, and they cover it up. What was that famous one where he's like he read end of speech,
right? He had so many of those though, so many flubs.
Yeah,
and he even mentioned that he had cancer in an interview a couple years ago, right? And I saw this one kind of circulating around on the interwebs. And he mentions oh, just like you, just like me, we have cancer because, and he gave a reason. And the White House actively said, oh, it was just a gaffe. It was just a flub. So we've got him on tape saying, I have cancer 2 years ago or several years ago. And the cover up. That's what we're talking about here. The freaking cover up.
Ridiculous.
They again, here, we keep hitting this point home. They think we're idiots. They think that we're not paying attention. And for the most part, a lot of people just kind of skate by and oh, well, the man on the media said this thing or that thing. Oh, well, if CNN says it's got to be true.
God.
No, this is more evidence. It's just piling up. And finally, the people who are actively involved in the cover up are now giving their quote unquote tell all expose books to try to make a buck because they know that their reputation has been completely damaged for the years of lying, and now they're trying to redeem themselves. But I predict you're going to be seeing a lot more with quote unquote whistleblowers, people who want to once this goes to the judicial branch, once people start facing jail time more than just fines, once they start actually seeing criminal responses to this, or responses to their criminal behavior, that's when I think that we're going to get a lot of people coming up saying, oh, well, I was told to do this.
Oh, yeah, I was just following orders. But I mean, look, this wasn't a fluke. This is premeditated deceit. It's a calculated effort by the Democrat machine, or hell, even the uniparty machine for all I care at this point, to keep the truth from voters. And all while they're doing this, they're building this this political lie, this narrative. It's all a lie. They're trying to build this. Oh, we're the good guys. We're honest. We're forthright. On a foundation of lies. Look, this is another big reason why there was a Democrat failure in the 2024 election in such a gloriously magnificent, just huge swath of red counties. I mean, what was it, 2,500 counties went red for Trump, and it was 456 for Kamala, who didn't even win a primary.
The appointed.
Mm-hmm.
For what? What? How did she get there? Well, she crawled up on her knees for that one.
Might have helped. She could help maybe save some of those costs for Shannon next time he needs to get a
horse whisperer.
Something like that.
Heels up Harris.
Yeah. Next time you need she might help you save $5,000.
Yeah, for sure, huh?
So you don't have to get your hands dirty.
So yeah, I mean, like, where do we go from here with all this? I mean, it's just so crazy. They just lie and lie and lie.
Isn't the president required to have a blood test, a minimum of every 4 years, to see if he has a disease like cancer?
Well, I mean, they were pretty adamant about having Trump take his cognitive exams and all that stuff, right?
Right.
They were like, we demand it. He's Trump. He's too old. Meanwhile, Biden's older and can't even string a sentence together. No, he's great. He's great. He's fine. He's perfect. In fact, he's running again. He's so strong. Look at him fall upstairs.
Yeah.
So look, let's zoom out a little bit here. Think about it. Your health data is being harvested. Your DNA is being sold. Your behavior is being monitored. But none of it applies to the elites.
Mm.
My God, they lie about his cognitive decline, and then, they never tested him for cancer, apparently, which I don't believe for a second, because you'd think the president would have the best doctors on staff, right?
Right.
Government, I doubt it.
Well, but for the president, it's different. It's a little bit different, especially when it's their guy, the big guy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just another whole wheelbarrow full of manure right there. When they saying that, we didn't even test him for cancer, like, let's get a grip. Of course they did. What happened was it was this whole web of deceit, because they knew that the American population would not have voted for this decrepit guy who's dying of cancer if they were told about it. Right?
Yeah, they could have got Harrison. Well, either way, they were trying to slide her in, or whoever they wanted. But it's just crazy to me. They would lie. I mean, well, it's not crazy because I'm used to the lying at this point. It's heartbreaking, because this is why trust is dead. This is why nobody trusts the government.
Right.
But this is another great reason as to why I'm actually doing what I'm doing and running for office here, because I'm sick of it.
Right.
They lie to us at every possible friggin' turn. The people of this country, the people of California, they deserve leadership that doesn't lie or conceal or collapse in the middle of a sentence. What a concept. They want us to just listen to them. I don't want to just listen to them anymore. Okay. I want to make everything transparent. That's really going to be the key to saving this country, is 100% transparency all the way through. I mean, sure, maybe don't make the nuclear codes transparent, but I think we should have transparency with our spending and where it's going and who's getting involved and what companies are doing what, and that way we can actually monitor things better and make sure they get managed properly and done on time and under budget, or ahead of schedule and under budget. Like
Right.
This entire show has been about truth and about sovereignty and about your body and your data and your right to live without being tracked like livestock or manipulated like an asset. So Joe Biden had cancer. The DNC knew it. The media ignored it. And now your DNA is up for sale. While your president couldn't finish his sentence, and the state of American politics in 2025 was, oh, well, this is the guy. This is who they're pushing. He's so great. Well, I'm not here to play that game.
Yeah.
I'm not here to protect corrupt institutions or cover for weak men. Okay? I'm here to tell the truth, and I'm here to fight for you. Okay? You got to stop voting for actors and avatars and, the talking heads you see on TV, or some guy pretending, that, he's the tough man around. No. You need to have digital transparency for everybody and every candidate. And you got to support your leaders so you're going to defend your data and your family and your future. So if we're going to change this, we got to get active.
Right.
We have to restore reality before it's too late. Okay? This isn't about politics anymore. It's about making things better. So I hope I can earn your guys' vote. I want to thank everybody for tuning in to America Matters today. And we'll see all of you tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day, folks.
Thank you, Leo. Thank you, Joshua.